If we're predicting the question here, we can tell that we need to think about the two different ways of spelling the word affect, right? Affect with an A, effect with an E. That's going to matter. And we're absolutely going to need to memorize that rule because it can come up, very rarely, but it can come up on the SAT. But I think the better way to approach this question is to first just focus on the way it sounds, right? We can tell that there's different tenses here, and so maybe we can eliminate some of these answers just based on that, right? Well, there's a little bit of a structure here that we can use to kind of figure out the right tense. Some studies have also found that students who do community service are more likely to volunteer as adults and thus affect society positively over the course of many years, right? So they're doing two things. They're more likely to volunteer and affect society. So when we have that kind of like list of two, we want both verbs like that to be in the same tense. We're really talking about symmetry at this point. Hopefully your brain can just kind of hear that, and you can trust your instincts here and just kind of know that C and D sound weird when matched up with the word volunteer. It's harder than usual for these, but there is a little bit of a difference in the way it sounds, and that gets you down to A and B, the really grammatical, harder thing that we have to think about here. So what's the difference between these two words? Effect with a E is a noun, and affect with an A is a verb. There are exceptions to this, but on the SAT and in life in general, this is the way it goes. Effect is a noun, affect is a verb. If you need help remembering which one is which, remember that a verb is really just an action, and the word action begins with A, the word affect begins with A, it's a match. So how do we know which one we need, the noun or the verb? Well, just look at how it's kind of used in the sentence, right? The studies have found that students who do community service, so the students affect society positively. So the students are doing an action here. They're affecting society. They're having an effect. But in the case of the way the sentence is structured, B, they're doing affecting. So this is what makes this so difficult, is it's very easy to rearrange the sentence and use the complete opposite word, right? So in this case, let's write it out. The students affect society. That's what we're saying. That's why choice B is correct. Another way we could rephrase this, just to show you how a situation where we would use A, students have, there's our verb, an effect on society. Notice they're very similar sentences. They're kind of saying the same thing. But the structure determines which one we use, because now in the second one, have is our verb. And we know that affect is a noun because of the word an, right? That's a word that we use when we're talking about a thing, an effect. It's confusing. And if you don't quite get it, that's okay, because the odds of this particular rule coming up are relatively slim. There are so many other grammar rules that we've already covered and they're going to come up in the rest of this test that are almost guaranteed to come up in your SAT. Affect versus effect, it's a lot less likely that it comes up. So I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. There are other bigger priorities that you have before you have to start worrying about stuff like this. Focus on things like verb agreement, focus on things like symmetry that we've seen a bunch of times. Those things matter much more than this slight difference, right? It's about prioritizing, because all these questions are still worth the same amount. So don't stress over things that are just gonna, cost you a lot of time and headache and not gain you a lot of points.